Okay, so we're here with Henry Hillebrand. He's a wholesaler and entrepreneur. He's done a lot of different things in his past. So we're here to talk about it. Thanks for coming, Henry.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, how's the journey going with your wholesaling business? Are you still very busy with that, or how are things?
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's good and busy. It it has kind of slowed down. Well, it's just like any business. You have your busy times and your slow times, right? But then with the way the market is, it feels like it's starting to pick up again. But that could also be just um, people that have, well, what it is a lot of my old leads, before they were in distress, but now the pressure's really on. So it takes always a little bit of time for that to come through, right?
Let's talk about for the people that don't know what wholesaling is. Let's talk about it. What is wholesaling? We know it's wholesaling real estate property, but what's the difference between wholesaling and listing something with a realtor? Like, where do you come in? How does that explain the process?
Okay, so wholesaling, that's basically, so it's I'm basically an off-market realtor, right? So I find somebody that wants to sell their house, and then I negotiate a price, what they're willing to sell the house for or what they want for it. And then I basically look for somebody that's looking to buy a house like that, and then I just mark it up like $10,000, $20,000, and then and the buyer is okay with that, and the seller gets their price, and the buyer gets the house he wants. So I'm just the guy in the middle making the deal happen.
So basically, you have distressed sellers that what's the reason they don't want to list with a realtor? Like, what are some common reasons why they don't just call the local real estate team or real estate office, whatever, in that area and list with a realtor? Like, what's the main common thing why they don't?
Often it's time, and some of the houses, or most of them, they're in too rough a shape or whatever, like for somebody to get a traditional mortgage. So even if they would list it on the market, most retail buyers have to mortgage a house. They don't just have cash laying around, and then the bank won't finance it, right? So there's no way, even if they do list it, the house won't sell. And if it does sell, it'll be like way below value, right? So we have actually gotten some of those deals where they have had it listed, and they couldn't get any offers on it at all, just because the house was in too rough a shape for anybody to get traditional financing.
So I guess in some cases the sellers could get more money going through wholesale real estate than listing it with the MLS.
Yeah, 100%.
I guess I'm a real estate agent, and there was a recent property. I actually brought a buyer to it, and he ended up using his equity home line or whatever, and he was able to basically do a cash offer. But the property was on the market for quite some time. It was in very bad shape, and they had previously accepted two other offers conditioned on financing, and they both couldn't get financing. And the seller was very frustrated at the end, just wanted it gone. And we ended up working out a very good deal. It worked out good for my buyer, good for the seller. But I guess that should have been a deal that they should have called you, somebody like you, a wholesaler, and so you could connect them with your investors, flippers, or whatever. Who do most of your deals go to? What type of buyers are they?
Yeah, typically the buyers are business owners that are like flipping a house on the side, or that's their full-time job is flipping houses. But often it's somebody that has cash ready, and then they're just looking for just to kind of, yeah, flip a house. Or there's even some guys that are looking to increase their rental portfolio, right? So if they can buy them undervalued, renovate them, put a tenant in there, then make some cash flow because they got it at a discount.
And with all the people that you work with, I think you work with some agents, other agents as well, other investors, wholesalers. How many, like, if there was a great deal right now, how many people could you reach out to, or how, I guess my question is, how big is your buyers list with, if you pool everything together, all the connections that you have? Like, is it a couple dozen, couple hundred, couple thousands?
Oh, it'll be a couple thousands. Especially, yeah, because wholesaling is one of those things where you think it's competitive, but it's actually very, very much like I work with a lot of other wholesalers as well. So basically, their buyers are my buyers are their buyers. So like, if there's a house that's like a great deal, well, I always let my friends know, and then they'll often just have a guy that's like, oh yeah, this is perfect for this guy, and it goes right. But um, if if that's not the case, it goes on the buyers list. There's a couple thousand people, and it just gets scooped up pretty quick.
How many deals that you get under contract can you successfully sign? Like, are you assigning most of them? Is there a lot of them where you have to go back and tell the seller, sorry, we can't find a buyer? Like, how many, how does that work?
I think every single one but one we got to assign, right? And that's like, yeah, it's very, very rare.
So your buyers list are very serious investors. When you pitch the idea,
Yeah.
when you show them the property, you probably have a bunch of them. Sometimes are they even fighting for it? Have you seen it where the buyers are kind of almost fighting for it? That's how bad they want it.
Yeah, yeah, it is kind of like that. But at the same time, it's like whoever can close, like I don't care. I just wanted to make sure that the seller gets their house sold and that they can actually close, and it's not gonna be like somebody that says, yeah, I want it, and then we go to do all this stuff, and then they end up being like, oh no, it's not totally what they want, right? I just kind of
I guess it's not like the COVID buying times where something's listed for $299 and people go 100 over asking, because at that point it wouldn't make sense for an investor to do that, right?
yeah, yeah. I typically have it like it's already basically whatever price we have it at. That's basically the best price, right? Like there's no, I don't do any of that where you mark it up 50,000 and then go down 30,000. Like my assignment fee, I just always kind of look at the deal and then be like, what is it? What would I take it for, right? So like this deal at this price, would I buy it? And if I would, then that's basically what I put it out for.
And you've done a few flips yourself in the past as well, so you know
Yeah.
what a good deal needs to be, right? So does that help you being a wholesaler to find out, like you probably have more insight about a property than most wholesalers that don't have any experience, right?
Yeah, yeah, it does help a lot. I think, yeah, it would be, yeah, that's just it, right? Like with all that experience, I think it is the best. Yeah, I can go through a house and I already know what it needs and what it would be and what it would take, and then often just the layout sometimes can just throw off the price. Like, yeah,
Mhm. And what do you find in this current market with, I know there's a lot of foreclosures out there, there's probably a lot of desperate, distressed sellers. Like, are you getting a lot more phone calls right now from people like that? What are you experiencing?
I'm getting a good amount of calls of condos, and then people that are in too deep in their house. They bought a house at the peak, and they can't afford to sell it with the real estate because they'll take the too much commission. And then even for me to buy it at current price, like what it should be, um, like a fair price, like it's still like they way overpaid is the short answer, right? Like, so yeah, even if they were to accept my offer, they wouldn't be able to, if they physically can't afford to buy out the existing mortgage.
Okay, that makes sense. And what would you, so I guess let's go back to, when did you start marketing yourself, and how long did it take until you got your first deal under contract?
Yeah, so I started doing some marketing and stuff like that in February 24, and
So
then
just over about a year and a half, just over a year and a half, not even 2 years ago.
yeah, and then I got a good amount of calls and leads and stuff like that. But the first deal I think closed in August of 24.
So just over a year ago.
Yeah.
And what's your average, like, what's the sweet spot? So just for the people that don't know under what wholesaling and the assignment, all that means, so Henry would buy the property, this is the agreement, he would pay X amount, say, for example, 300,000, then he goes and finds investors, wholesale or flippers, investors that'll buy it, and then there's an assignment contract that we have. So basically, you're selling the contract to that end buyer, which is usually an investor of some sort, and that we call that assignment, an assignment agreement. So there's an assignment fee. What is that markup? So, like, what's the sweet spot on that assignment fee? Like, nobody wants to pay a wholesaler $100,000 for just, shuffling some papers. That's how they look at it, probably.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's cases where 100,000 is where it still would make sense. But what's kind of the sweet spot?
Yeah, the sweet spot's around 20,000. Like that's like give or take a bit more, a bit less would be that's pretty much your perfect number that'll hit most properties.
Okay, so it's not like you're making $100,000 off of every deal, and you can just, pick up one phone call and you're, set for the year, right? You gotta at 20,000, you've got expenses and marketing, whatever material, ads, whatever you do. There's got to be quite a bit of expenses as well, right? Your time and everything. So you gotta really treat this like a business.
Yeah.
To be successful. But how do you, so yeah, you said around 20,000 is kind of the sweet spot. What's the highest that you've done? Like, what's the most amount that you made per deal?
That would be like $60,000.
60,000.
Yeah.
Wow, that's still very good. Like, a lot of people have a hard time making that a year, so you did that on a single deal.
Yeah. Yeah, and then it's a little bit different if you're going to deal with. I know there's a lot of people that'll wholesale like complete portfolios, like multiple houses at once. Then that would be different, right? But I'm just doing, most of them are just single family homes, so then that would be the 20,000, right? But as soon as you get into like, if it would be like an apartment or a semi or stuff like that, then your calculations go way out the window, right?
Mm-hmm. And I know with people, they always think that, realtors make a lot of money too, 4 or 5% commission, but what they fail to understand is that half of that commission goes to the agent who brings the buyer, and then our brokerage normally takes 20 to 40% of that, and then we've got all kinds of marketing fees and expenses off of that too. So often the seller gets charged, maybe 20, 30, 40,000 in commission. The agents actually don't make that much. So from what you're describing, you're actually making just as much, if not more, than the average agent does per deal. And an agent sometimes has to market themselves for sometimes years before they get their first deal, or sometimes months before they get their first deal. And the average, I forget what the average, I think the average agent does about 3 deals per year. A good agent does about 12 deals. So it's similar numbers for what you do, right?
Yeah.
How many deals have you done in total now since you started, which was the first deal was in August, so just over a year?
Yeah, I don't know if it's 10 or maybe more, something like that, 10 or 12. Yeah.
So average 20,000. So
Oh,
you made well over 200,000 already in a year.
Yeah, it's got to be more than 10 because it's more than 200,000.
Yeah, especially like if you, the one that was 60, if you did a few higher ones, and then if your average is kind of 20, that's probably, what's the lowest one that you've done? Or have you not done any lower than 20?
Yeah, we did 5,000.
And in what case would you do 5? Like what?
Yeah. Well, it just depends on the property, and then if the numbers work out, and if it seems like just depends on how the numbers work out, and then my negotiating through with the buyer and the seller, right?
I guess it's, at the end of the day, you can't just put any number on. It's up to this buyer what they want to pay you, right?
Yeah.
Instead of losing a deal, you'd rather take 5 instead of walking away from it, right?
That's right.
So how many hours do you normally spend, like, let's just say average hours between marketing, calls, going to the seller's property, negotiating, like how many hours is that a week roughly? Like, are you treating this as a full-time business, or is it just kind of a part-time gig in terms of hours?
Well, wholesaling is all that I do. Um, if I'm not helping at a flip or something like that, right? But yeah, actually, the time I spend on wholesaling is probably, I don't know, could be 5 hours a week. Oh no, it's gonna be more because of setting up ads or marketing or
Yeah.
whatever, right? So you're probably 10 hours, something like that, maybe.
So it's still
Yeah,
nothing compared to guys working at welding shop 60 hours a week, got to be there at 7 and
yeah,
work till 5 o'clock or whatever. So,
yeah. It's nothing like that, no.
like, how do you find freedom? Like, does it tie you up a lot? Do you have more freedom than you did when you worked at a welding shop? Like, how do you compare that?
Yeah, I have a lot more freedom, and then yeah, a lot more freedom. But that's like a double-edged sword, right? Because um, you can you can enjoy it, or you know that if you stop your marketing or whatever, right, that then that freedom can be taken away. So um, yeah, you can do it from anywhere, right? But like you still have to treat it like a job because otherwise it'll get away from you, I think.
I guess it's just like any
Yeah.
business until you got to be very, in the field, very active until you have the team and you have everything in place, which usually takes, at least 2 years, usually 5 years until you have that in place, until you can kind of step away and then your team manages, right?
Yeah. Yeah, like, cause I try to, well, not always, right? But depending on the person's situation, right? So there have been some where they have called me, they have asked me if I can come out right away, and then it just didn't work out, and I was like, "Can I come out tomorrow?" And the guy was like, "Yep." And then probably 3 hours later, they called me back and they said, "No, I don't need to come out." They had a realtor come out, and they're gonna end up listing it anyways, right? So I kind of, I think if I would have just dropped what I was doing and gone out, then I could have got the deal, right? But then at the same time, if they went with a realtor, they're probably not my ideal seller. They're probably not in a desperate enough situation, but you gotta kind of sometimes go out and see the people and
Build that relationship.
build that relationship, yeah. And then kind of see exactly what the problem is because often it comes out sometimes like, oh well, we want to move, we want to downsize and whatever, right? But after you kind of talk to them, then you find out the real pain, right? It's like, oh no, they're actually behind on their mortgage payments and they're gonna lose it and they don't want to, like. But at the beginning, when they first called, they're just talking about downsizing and they just kind of want to move to a smaller house, right? But
So basically every seller has some sort of pain point and a reason why they don't list on MLS with a realtor.
yeah, and often it's time. It's they can't risk waiting 30, 60, 90 days for it to sit on the market.
So they're okay with taking 20,000 or in some cases probably 20% below market value just to get it gone. Like, what's
Yeah.
between, like, the purchase price that you've agreed to pay the seller and what it's worth? What's the biggest gap you've seen? Like, what's the biggest discount property that
Uh,
you've seen?
110,000 or $120,000, something like that.
So the property would have been worth 120,000 more on MLS,
Yeah,
and they chose to go with your offer because.
yeah, because I had a buyer that could close in 2 weeks.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go. That makes sense.
Yeah,
If you sometimes it takes a week to get a property listed on MLS. By the time you clean it, get it ready for marketing and do pictures, and by the time it's listed, it can often be a week before it's ready, and then you gotta, bring the buyers through, do an open house, and maybe another 2 or 3 weeks till you get an offer, and then a buyer usually needs, the banks and lawyers usually need, at least 2 weeks, usually a month. They like a month before they can close, so
yeah.
you're well over a month there,
hmm
probably closer to 2 months on average.
Yeah, yeah.
So what are some marketing, what's your main form of marketing, and what's, like, do you have a kind of main thing that you do? Is there a bunch of multiple things that kind of works? Have you tried a bunch of stuff? What has worked, what hasn't?
I've tried a bunch of stuff. Facebook ads is one, and then bandit signs is kind of like the main ones, right? And then there's other things that you can do too, I guess. But like getting wrap on your vehicle or stuff like that. But bandit signs has worked out quite well. Ads, um, it does work, but I haven't had very great luck with it. Like there's a lot. Well, ads work because you're reaching a lot more people, but then it's a lot more work, right? Like there's a lot of vetting, like and talking to sellers and trying to see who's serious and who's not, right?
So the criteria is different. So if you did Facebook ads, you probably get people that already know, are more educated. Like, do you find that they're better leads if you do bandit signs?
Yes, because so how Facebook ads work is, and you guys have probably experienced it too, where once you click an ad, then Facebook's like, okay, this is what this person is interested in, right? So, say this person is just scrolling through Marketplace, trying to see what they could sell their house for privately, and then all of a sudden a We Buy Houses ad pops up on their Marketplace feed. They click it. Once they get off that ad, there's going to be like five more, right? We Buy Houses ads, and then they start like clicking through, so they get totally lost in it. Like it's like, well, who do I call? Who's trustworthy? Who's actually gonna buy my house for cash, right?
And what's
And then
explain what bandit signs is,
yeah,
and why do people trust bandit signs versus Facebook ad or something?
yeah, that's what I was getting to because we've all heard of somebody getting scammed online, right? And then a lot of these sellers are they're yeah not they're
Distrust.
yeah they're distressed and they don't want to get scammed, especially in a time of distress.
Well, especially with their
Right.
property, if some of them probably live there for 20, 30 years.
That's right.
It's the only asset they probably have.
Yep. And then if they see a physical sign in their neighborhood and they're like, some real life person put this here, it's and then like so they call and then I greet them like the same as how I normally do. I just say, hey, this is Henry from We Buy Houses, and then they're like, okay, it's a real person, whatever, right? It's they want to talk to somebody. They don't want to risk, especially with all the AI stuff. They don't want to risk getting caught into some kind of scheme, right? So right now, I think the signs work really well, or at least better than.
Yeah, and I guess
And
if there's a scammer from somewhere overseas that's scamming, they're not going to come to our neighborhoods here and put up signs to scam people, right? So
That's right, yeah.
That's a good point. That's
Yeah.
very legitimate. Somebody's been out there,
Mm-hmm.
probably that weekend or whatever, to put up signs and.
Yeah, and yeah, so that's I've had a lot of very good responses to the signs, especially yeah. The strategy that we use is that we put them out for a couple days, then we pick them up again, and not be one of those that's like, oh, I've seen that sign there for like 5 weeks now, or like that sign's been there all year, right? Then you kind of like, is that guy still around? Is his business shut down, right?
Oh, okay, so your signs are always, they're fresh, they're, it's not like there's a bunch of overgrown grass around it,
That's right.
they know that you were there very recently.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Yeah.
you try to pick up the signs and reuse them again, so what's the reason for that? Just,
Well, one is bylaw, and then the other one is the signs are expensive, right? And then you can change locations of where they are, and it's kind of like split testing, like but in real life.
so most bylaw officers are okay with just doing the signs over the weekend, and I guess you see that all the time with, I've seen
With restaurants and
restaurant,
stuff.
Pizza Hut often has these bandit signs up and advertising, so.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty good. I haven't gotten like this year in 25, I haven't gotten a single bylaw call.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, so.
Before, while you were testing your other strategies, some of them,
Yeah, because
Maybe.
some of these neighborhoods have never had bandit signs before, right? So, like some of the neighborhoods I go into, they're kind of older or smaller, in their bylaws that's totally new to them. So
and I guess it's
So-
hard for people to be upset with these signs if you're coming in, you're doing
Yeah.
a good thing. There's a old dilapidated property that's been sitting there empty for years, and you're bringing a buyer to that, and they're cleaning it up, putting it back on the market again to sell it, right?
yeah, and actually like the other day we were at a at a friend's distressed property that he had bought, and he started cleaning it up, and we were just talking outside on the sidewalk, and then one of the neighbors drove past and was just very happy and thankful that we were cleaning up the neighborhood because that was like the shittiest, dirtiest house on the block. With that one cleaned up, it'll clean up the whole neighborhood, right?
And where are the best deals? Are they in the bigger cities? Are they what areas, small towns? Like where do you find the best deals are coming from?
It's I think just outside of bigger cities. I think that's where
So kind of these smaller towns.
yeah, yeah, smaller towns where if somebody is getting priced out of the market in the city, and then they can just kind of move, or yeah, and then a lot of the people that are in the small towns, they've lived there for like 40, 50 years, right? Because it's a small town, you just never leave your hometown, that kind of person. And then so that there's often very good deals there. There is good deals in the city, right? But at the same time, you got to be careful which part, right? Like Toronto's large, Hamilton is large, London is large. In each of those large towns, like Waterloo or Kitchener-Waterloo, you could drive like 15 minutes, and the exact same house would be like $150,000 difference in price just because of the neighborhood. And it's like geographically, it's only like 10 kilometers apart. Whereas in a small town, anything within 10 kilometers, similar houses, similar price. Even within 20 kilometers, the price doesn't change that much.
Right.
Right?
And yeah, I've bought a few properties from your deals. Had a good experience with you. Is there a big difference between an investor? I'm assuming I'm a fairly decent buyer for you. Try not to make it painful. Are you seeing that some investors are more picky about certain stuff? Like are most buyers that buy these properties, are they fairly straightforward, fairly easy to deal with?
Most of them are fairly straightforward, and they kind of know what they're getting into, right? But there is some guys that are like, yeah, I'll pay this price, right? But they want the house to be empty, right? So then sometimes I got to go and pay for a dumpster or something like that. But you know,
So you would do that for your sellers, pay
Yeah.
for the dumpster so they can remove their garbage?
Yeah, I've done that.
What else? What are other things that you've done to make a deal happen? Sometimes you have to
Well,
give in a bit in certain areas.
yeah, like once for the buyer, he didn't realize how much trash there was, right? So I ended up paying for a dumpster there, for a different seller. The buyer wanted the house empty on a certain day, but the seller couldn't book a U-Haul because they didn't have enough money. So I went and booked that U-Haul for them so that they could get out in time.
So you're a lot more than just this
Yeah.
wholesaler that, just from deal to deal. You actually interact with these people. You help them. You pay for their U-Haul. You pay for their bins just to make the deal happen.
Yeah, yeah, and then because it's like you got to kind of sympathize with the seller. Like this is a big deal in their life. Like they have.
Well, if they haven't moved in 30 years.
Yeah, that's right. Right. So you have to kind of be respectful and stuff like that. And then also for the buyer, you have to also know that this is their business and that you gotta that my role is to make sure that this happens, right? So it just kind of it's not it is like it physically is just me signing a paper and then me selling the contract over. That's what it is. But there's a lot of little things that I don't have to do that I do.
And that's probably what sets you apart from a lot of other wholesalers.
Mm-hmm.
What do you see? I know in the market there's often a bad taste for wholesalers because there's a lot of brutal guys out there in the business. Like or how would you set yourself apart from the other ones? I guess some of the things you went through already, but what are you doing differently than, like, what are most other wholesalers doing that, or what are you doing that they're not doing? Like,
I don't know. I think I turned down deals maybe too soon. Like maybe I put myself too much in the seller's shoes. And then I tell them like, you know what, I don't think that we're like, I'm pretty sure I could persuade them, right, that we can buy it. But at the same time, I'm like, you know what, you're better off. Like, this is your best option, right?
So you'd rather walk away from a deal than
Yeah.
than trying to just do it for profits at the end of the day.
That's right. Yeah. But then on the flip side of that, we have gotten that same buyer or seller has reached out now months later and then says, okay, now he's ready to sell. And he calls me back a year later. Well, it's over a year later um, now that he's ready, just because he knows that where we're at, basically.
Okay, so a lot of it is, it's not like just, you know, you put your signs out, you get a call the next weekend and you get your first deal. A lot of it is planting the seed and,
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And like the same thing, yeah, it just goes on to everybody's on a different journey. And like the seller, they're often they want to sell their house, but they don't know how. So then their first step is to make the call, and then I talk to them about it, and then after I walk them through like how it looks, okay, now they understand that what needs to happen. So now they're getting themselves ready to um, to go through that, right? Like not everybody can just be like, hey, I wonder what it looks like if I sold my house, and then 30 days later move. They kind of need some time to be like, okay, so if we're gonna sell our house, where are we gonna go? What are we like? And and kind of need a bit of time, right? So sometimes they'll they'll call me. I'll talk to them. I'll sometimes meet up with them, and then we're like, yep, see ya. Let me know when you're ready. I'll follow up a couple times, and it feels like I'm bothering him, so I just be quiet. And then now, this guy called me back like a year later.
so you have, you know, obviously you get lots of calls, you get deals done. Um, what would you recommend for buyers? Like, I would think that buyers should, if you're looking to get into real estate, this is a great option, right? Call you and get a deal. You know, be the buyer for your deals instead of going on MLS and purchasing something, right?
Mm-hmm.
What? So from your own flips, your own stuff that you do, how do you, if they're in really bad shape, how do you get money for it? How do you raise the capital to purchase these properties?
Yeah.
Because the bank's not going to touch that, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so to do my own deals, it's pretty hard. Well, it's not hard. It's just you just gotta either find a friend, family, or private lender, or like a mortgage brokers often know private lenders. So, and if you have a proper business plan laid out, it often doesn't matter what your income is, what your credit score is, any of that stuff. As long as the deal makes sense, then like a hard money lender or private lender, they will lend you money for the deal.
And how do you convince them that the deal makes sense? Because in this market right now, everybody knows there's a lot of properties selling way under asking price and hardly selling. How do you make it a solid deal so that the lender says, yeah, we want this, we want to lend this guy money?
Yeah, well, because they're off-market deals, right? So they're a
They-
lower there's a lower buy-in to
Do you
begin
get
with.
appraisals for these two, or how do you?
Yeah, yeah. So typically we'll get an as-is appraisal, and then if they if the buyer wants or whatever, then we'll get an ARV appraisal. So after renovated value, or as if complete or whatever. We get
So
we got two appraisals basically. One for what it is now, and then one for what it will be if it's renovated to certain criteria. Then we have to basically tell them what we're gonna do to it, and then basically we're gonna figure out what we're gonna do to it anyways, because we're gonna draw up a budget. So once you have that budget and you have that list, you get those two appraisals, then that's enough information for anybody to like for a private lender to lend you money on it.
Okay, so they can see that the property is worth 400,000 and you're paying 290, and it's going to be worth 500 or 600 once it's all completed, and there's enough margins in there to make that work. So
Yeah.
that makes sense. What do you see the next year? Like, what's your plan? What's your goals? What are some of the things that you would do different next year? Like, do you want to You want to do more? You want to do less?
Um, I would like to do more. Next year, yeah,
I guess
like
is there any tools that you would, or is there a lot of things that you would different so that you could do more? Like, I'm sure it's just like any other business where the first, looking back, it's like, wow, how did I not do better, right? Now with better tools, better people, better team, whatever, you can probably scale that pretty good.
mm-hmm. Yeah, the, yeah, exactly. Um, to do it better, yeah, just have a good schedule, I guess. That's probably what it comes down to.
Be more committed.
Yeah, more committed, and then also like the time that set aside that time strictly for that, and then not for anything else, right? Because well, it's just how everything is, right?
I guess it's hard because you don't have a boss telling you what to do. It's
That's
hard
right.
to always stay consistent, right? I know for or as a real estate agent, it's the hardest thing is to stay consistent.
Yeah, yeah, because that's just it, right? Because now when you have freedom and you're not worrying about, um, not really worrying about where your next paycheck is and stuff like that, like you can just kind of like do what you want, right? So, but then when you do leave, it's well, if you're doing online ads, it's a lot better because if say I go to Florida or whatever, I can still answer the phone and talk to people, but you don't get
Results.
quite the same results. No, not when you're away because you're like, yeah, you're in the swimsuit on the beach, wind's blowing in your hair, and you're trying to figure out their situation. It doesn't sound very sincere. You kind of, I don't know. At least for me, anyways, you got to be close by.
All right, let's switch gears a little bit. So we've talked about the wholesaling part. Let's talk about you, personal development. What should people be doing to get involved in real estate? Like, how do you get comfortable with real estate? Like, where would you start? Um, you know, there's a lot of real estate events out right now. Uh, what would you recommend for people that haven't that want to get into real estate and don't know where to start?
So if you have zero experience, you know nothing about real estate, and you want to get into it, and you want to do it for free, um, go to open houses and talk to the real estate agent. Just ask them how's the market going, and just kind of like ask them about the house and the area and that kind of thing, and then go, yeah, do that into different areas just so you can kind of see what everybody's take is basically, right? It's like a free podcast from every person,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then yeah, like podcasts, and then going to networking events, and yeah, trying to mingle or like actually get stuff out of it. Don't just go there to hang out and hopefully get some free drinks and free snacks. Like go to it.
Go there to learn.
Yeah, go there to learn with the, yeah, do everything with intention, right? Like then that's.
What are some of your favorite books? What are the books that you read? What helps for personal development? Anything that comes on top of mind?
I don't know. I think it's just the normal ones, right? Like Think and Grow Rich and those ones. Um, Dan Martell's Buy Back Your Time is pretty good.
Yeah, I've read that one. That's a really good book.
Yeah. Um, it's good if you can apply it. What's another one? There's one, if you're more business, it's called Business is War
Mhm.
by J.T. Fox. That's pretty interesting. There was another one. Oh man, The Effective Executive.
Okay.
Pretty, I don't know.
So these are probably more
those,
books once you're more experienced, but
yeah, those are ones that I enjoy. Everybody has their own, but there's a lot of beginner books, just like your.
just read something.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's it for us here. So thanks for watching. I'll leave a link in the comment section for you to reach out to Henry if you're interested in purchasing a property from him. And we'll see you guys later.